All right, we're going to continue 7.2 where we left off, and this is the problem we were working on before. You went back and did the problems on that worksheet. So remember how we did this? We substitute the one in, solved for the one variable, and found x and y. Now, really what we were doing with these two equations was this. We were finding where these two lines intersected. So in the problems we were just working at, look back at your notes, we were given those two lines, written in that way. That looks different than we're used to where we can't see our slope and our y-intercept. So what I've done, instead of looking at them that way, if you look over here, I have rewritten them in our slope-intercept form. And we can see, if I graph them both, -1, slope of 1, y-intercept of 5, slope of -1, I can see where they intersect right here, which is 3, 2. Which is the same answer I got back here. Different way of solving same problem, different method. Okay? So that's what we're looking at here. We're going to find a way where we can find the lines are intersecting without having to do the graph. Use some more algebra. So let's say we wanted to find where these intersect. X plus y equals 5, x equals y plus 3. Well, if I go back, we did this problem already, 4, 1. So I could say this problem is 4, 1. Okay. We're not going to graph that. So as we do these, here's our steps. That's what we already did. Here's our steps. If you look at your notes now, here's our steps. For solving by substitution, the first, we have to solve one equation, for one of the variables. Now, if you looked at the worksheet that you did previously on 7.2, you'll notice in all 8 of those equations, I already solved it for one variable for you. So I did step 1. Okay. So I did step 1 for you from earlier. Step 2, substitute it in and solve for the one variable. That's what you did earlier. That was the first time we looked at this worksheet. That was a video that was homework for last night. Step 2 was the next video and what you did last, which was once you solve for the one variable, substitute it back in to find the other variable. And step 4, as they have up here, is to check, which many times we kind of skip that step just because we're lazy at times. Okay. So I did step 1 for you before. You did step 2 and 3. Now we want to look at you doing all 3 steps. So only thing that's really different from what you've already done is step 1. It's the only thing new that we're adding. Okay, so, and I've kind of laid out the steps here. So, use substitution to solve. So here's our equation. 2x plus y is 4, x plus y equals 3. We have to solve one equation for one variable. Now, as we talk about this, there's different ways you can do it. Right now, I'll explain which one I'm doing, and then we'll look at it a little bit more clearly. I'm going to take the second equation, and I'm going to solve it for y. So I subtract x from both sides. Let's do this down here under step 1. I subtract x from both sides. Once I do that, I substitute into the first equation. Well, the first equation is 2x plus y is 4. And now, this is my y that goes into there. So I get 2x plus negative x plus 3 is 4. That's like you did earlier. Now we simplify, combine these into x, plus 3 is 4, subtract 3 from both sides, and I get x is 1. Always got to find our y. Got to do one more step, substitute that back in. I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to bring it down. Y equals negative x plus 3. So I can put that 1 into there. Y equals negative 1 plus 3. So y is 2. So I get my answer. X is 1. Y is 2. And let's just do a quick check. Does that seem to work? X is 1. Y is 2. Plug them. See if they work back in there. Check. Do they work? And if you plug them in, they look good. Okay. So there's what one problem looks like. Solve for one variable, substitute it in, solve for the variable we have left. Notice at this step right here, at this equation right here, there should only be one variable left after you substitute in. Only one. Okay, now the question becomes, which variable do you solve for? How do you know which one to pick? So let's look at that for a second. When you solve for the one variable, the one you should pick is a variable that is positive. That means it's not negative. Right there, the y is negative, not good. There, the n is negative, not good. So you want one that's negative, and you want one where the coefficient, when we mean coefficient, coefficient is just the number in front of the variable, is 1. So I wouldn't want to use these. Bad. That's a 4. That's a 2. That's a 3. 3. 5. 2. I wouldn't want to solve for any of those, because the number in front is not 1. Okay. So let's now circle what we would want to use. The first one, positive variable. I would probably want to solve for this x. So I'd add y to both sides, and I would get x is y plus 2. Then I could take that back up there. Go through our steps. Here, I would probably solve for x. Subtract 3y. Substitute it back in there. Now, you may say, well, couldn't I have solved for this y? Yes, you could have. You could have solved for that y, and you could have done it that way, and you would have got the same answer. It looks different along the way, but it gets you there at the end. C, we only have one choice. Solve for this m. So we add 2n, and then substitute it back in. Okay. So you're always looking for that variable that's positive and has a coefficient of 1. So let's look here. That one's already done. Let's go to this one. So first, solve one variable in one of the equations. I'm going to pick this x in the bottom one because it has a coefficient of 1 and it's positive. Add y to both sides, and I get to there. Now I take the top equation. X plus 4y is 7. This is my x, has to go in there. So y plus 2 plus 4y is 7. That's 5y plus 2 is 7. Subtract 2 from both sides. 5y is 5. Y equals 1. Now notice up here, I'm going to bring this all the way down. X plus y is 2. My y is 5. So x is 7. X is 7. Y is 1. There is one problem, start to finish. Okay. This one over here I skipped. You'll notice I already had this one solved for y for you. So you really have to pick. So you got to kind of look and see. Okay. Question here, let's just talk about which one would you solve for? X or y? Two ways to do it. I'm going to pick this y. Just to be a little different. Subtract 2x. And I get to there. Then I take my other equation, bring it down. X plus 3y is 8. I take this, substitute in for y. X plus 3 minus 2x plus 1 is 8. Now notice, this one now gets a little bit harder. We've ratcheted up a little bit because now what we have to do is we have to distribute before we can simplify. X equals minus 6x plus 3 is 8. Let me bring it up here. Combine like terms is minus 5x plus 3 is 8. Subtract 3. Minus 5x is 5. X is negative 1. Now, not done yet. Still need to bring this down. Y equals negative 2x plus 1. Put my negative 1 in. I get y is 3. So x is negative 1, y is 3 is our answer. And let's not forget what we're finding. We are finding that if we would graph these two lines, now they're in a bad form to graph, but if we did graph them, they would cross at the point negative 1, 3. If we did graph them. We're not, but if we did, that's where they would cross. Okay? All right. Homework. Worksheet.